guys, it's Jay, the host of the Daily Horror Habit Podcast, your source for daily horror movie reviews. In an effort to expand on the types of content I create, I thought I'd take a look at the demo for the upcoming sequel to Little Nightmares 2, a horror puzzle platformer that's coming to all platforms on February 11th. This is a quick let's play of the demo, but I thought an appropriate starting point to tackle new forms of horror content to make for you guys. So, without further ado, here's the demo of Little Nightmares 2. Now, I didn't play the original Little Nightmares, but it's a game that kind of always stood out to me just based on kind of its aesthetic and its art style. I mean, you have this kind of very surreal world compared to like your character, and then you have kind of encountering the adults in the first game. I believe they were kind of like these monsters or these giants, and then you play a kid, obviously, but you're still much, much smaller. So there's kind of this, I don't know, like David Lynch fantasy element to the portrayal of the world, and there's a little bit of Tim Burton in there too, which you'll see in a little bit into this demo. But it's a game that has always had kind of a heavy emphasis on its horror aesthetic, and then there's some puzzle solving in there. So I'm really interested to see how they evolve on that. And who knows, if I enjoy this demo enough, maybe I'll finally go back and play Little Nightmares 1. But right off the bat, you can kind of see the horror influence here. Just kind of very bizarre, but very morbid at the same time. And for whatever reason, I can kind of hang on their the legs if I want to. Oh, let me see if I can get that quite right. Nope. Yeah, there you go. See? No particular reason, but as you can see, that hang mechanic is going to come into play later with the puzzles and obviously traversing the environment. But I like how, even though it's obviously side-scrolling left to right, at the same time there's a lot of foreground to kind of explore the environments, and you'll see in a minute how that plays into puzzles as well. But I mean, I just love how it drops you into this very strange world. You're a kid with a bag on his head. There's no explanation, no nothing. It's kind of just this very bizarre world. And right off the bat, you can see that this is a very hostile environment, given that there's these traps that are laid here, and you're kind of like, what the hell? Where would you ever be where people are setting traps for little kids? But that's kind of the horror element again coming into play. And let's see, use that grab mechanic again. You can kind of move crates and boxes around to deal with verticality puzzles, and obviously the pitfalls of being a child in that you're not able to grab high ledges as adults are, or as the monster equivalents of the other characters in this game you'll encounter. So this right here is a really great example of using the foreground, because as I'm running away from this log, if I wasn't down here in the foreground, if I was running closer to this tree right here, I would have gotten hit by that. But because of the way that the branch fell, or that the log fell at an angle, on this side it gives me more freedom to avoid it, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it's just kind of, again, it's teaching the player the different fundamentals of the game world through experimentation and through gameplay. And I mean, that's one of those elements where you don't need a tutorial. You're learning in real time, and that's kind of an indication of just a game that puts a lot of trust in the player that, hey, you're smart enough to figure that out. You might die the first time, but you're going to learn pretty quickly that you need to be aware of your surroundings, and that you're never going to kind of solve things in a traditional manner that you might in some other games. Again, just some really simple, just kind of puzzle stuff to get people acclimated to the environmental puzzles, and I'm sure that there will be other puzzles along the way. But I mean, I love the detail in this world. You can see again in the background, you can just see a little bit, could kind of give the world a layer of depth that I wasn't expecting for a side-scroller. And this game just has a great atmosphere. Again, tapping into that kind of like Fable atmosphere where you're just a kid lost in the woods. There's this really spooky music playing. And here we get into one of the game's bigger mechanics, which is interacting with items, and then you can throw them. So let's see here. Got a shoe. And now what happens when I throw this shoe? Can use it to avoid a trap. And again, really simple. You can sprint, you can jump, and you can latch onto items. Or ledges, rather. Now, avoiding some booby traps. Again, I have the freedom, even though it's only left or right, I have the freedom on which path I want to take, which again, it's a little thing, but again, it gives a depth to the world that I was not expecting. Once again, you get to interact with objects you find in the world. So for this instance, last time it was a shoe, this time it's a stick. Can use that to trigger traps. Now, you can see I can clear a path for some of the leaves so I can trigger those traps. More using objects found in the environment to trigger traps to find a safe path for me. Again, none of this is really groundbreaking stuff, but in combination with the world and the atmosphere, I mean, it's very simple, but it's simply done in a way that makes it really satisfying. And I mean, the best platformers you've ever played, the consistency of their experiences have been they're simple. It's keep it simple, stupid, right? I mean, you don't need a whole lot of complicated gameplay mechanics or things that are kind of like redefining what it means to be a platformer. This game does a terrific job so far of just kind of creating this sense of really unnerving fantasy horror world, and yet the gameplay mechanics are quite simple so far. Oh, and you can pick up a bottle of wine. Again, I love just how you're supposed to be a kid and yet the world is 10 times the size it should be, which makes the traversal more interesting than maybe it would be normally. Let's see, locked door. It makes the world feel very hostile, whether there's actually an enemy there or not. And here, another example of interacting with an object in the world. Again, I don't think that just because you can pick up an axe or a knife, I don't think that there's going to be combat in this game. Rather, it facilitates a further need to kind of just solve environmental puzzles. Like right here, there's a kid behind this door I need to get to, but I need to hack through the door to get there. And one of the other abilities that my guy has is that he can call out. And by calling out, I'm sure that'll come into play with the puzzles later on once I get this other character. And a little bit of environmental storytelling there on the back wall. You can see tally marks, which I'm sure are indications of how long this kid I just found has been trapped there. Which is pretty haunting when you start to count them up. You can see that he drew some monsters on there too, which I'm sure we will encounter momentarily. Man, this game looks phenomenal. Small scale, but highly detailed. Kind of like you can just see the, if I come back here for a minute, you can kind of just see dust floating, kind of dead air. Love it. Oh, and now I can hear one of the, probably a giant of some sort. Oh, that's creepy as shit. Yeesh. See, this is the kind of David Lynch, Tim Burton aesthetic that I was talking about. Like, very, very odd and no real explanation for what you're seeing. You just know that it's very unsettling to see it. Again, right here, we don't need a tutorial. We're kind of just shown, hey, this is a big world and we're little people, and the only way we're going to get through it is helping one another. go. Gotta work with one another. I love my guys just running around with a bag on his head with holes in it. No explanation, just the way it is. And this is where the partnership comes into play right now. We have objects in this world that we can't handle on our own, but together we're more than capable of tackling what this world has to throw at us. And we can see up there's a key that we need to get to that door down below. I can call my guy over and he can help me out. There we go. And once again, a creepy as fuck doll of a person. Let's see. Okay, I need that crank. I love the horror vibes in this game. It's so awesome. It's so simple, but I mean, again, it's all about just the environmental storytelling that's at play here. I love the... Oh. Sorry, bud. Didn't mean to throw that at you. Nope. Swing and a miss. There we go. Nice. Kind of cool. You can see the physics there. You have to rock it. You can't just collide with it, but you have to rock it, so that way it frees up the key. It's pretty cool. I'd be really interested to see how much more complex the puzzles in this game get. But even if they were kind of just simplistic puzzles that don't take too much thought into, I mean, I love the world so much that it wouldn't be too much of an issue. Oh. Now I found this lock. Oh, freedom. Through this ogre house. Well, doesn't look like we're out of the woods just yet. Oh, this doesn't bode well. The sound design also is really great, whether it's the music or just the actions that we're listening to. Our first look at one of the giants. Looks like he's skinning some livestock, or maybe it's a child, not unlike myself and my companion here. Now we gotta make a break for it. Oh shit. Jesus. Well, this is terrifying. Luckily, he's got a musket from the 1400s. Again, just showing how you can use the foreground part of the environment to your benefit, whether it's avoiding a hostile or whether it's puzzle solving. Just a really great use of space and environment. And again, it's fairly simple and simplistic, but it does enough right that that's not an issue. It doesn't, I'm getting something out of the simplicity of it, but I'm also getting something out of just the atmosphere, the horror elements, which I've repeatedly said. I mean, it really is something that kind of capitalizes on simplicity because the presentation is so stellar. And I mean, right now you can see I'm kind of hiding in this tall grass, trying to avoid this guy. Fortunately, the grass is here, otherwise I'd be toast. enemies are so creepy. Just listening to this guy breathe all heavily and ugh. It's very unsettling. I don't know how he can't see me, but I guess the tall grass is that effective. Oh, looks like I got to make it to that hole over there. So I'll wait for him to do one more pass with the light, and then I'll try to dip out of here. All right, let's see if I can make this. Oh shit, he sees me. So close. The tall grass, and this is kind of like in Dishonored, where you hide behind a bookshelf and then you lean out. You can see enemies, but then they can't see you just because you're in lean mode. Alright, let's see. Wait for one more pass, and now I'm out of here. Hopefully he doesn't see me. Oh, I made it. And hey, looks like that's the end of the demo. Short but sweet. I think I'm definitely going to go back and check out Little Nightmares 1 before 2 comes out. And I believe 2 comes out on February 11th. But yeah, again, it capitalizes on simplicity, but at the same time, I mean, I love this world, and the horror elements feels like a fable in a lot of ways. It's kind of like dark fantasy world with being this extra small child for some reason, or maybe the enemies are just extra big because they're like giants or something. But yeah, really intriguing, and something that I definitely am going to keep an eye on the closer it gets to its February release date. But yeah, this was a short, but I think I'm going to try to do these a little more frequently, whether with demos or maybe kind of just a little bit longer Let's Plays or maybe video reviews. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'm Jay Krieger for Daily Horror Habit. Make sure you guys check out the podcast for all your daily horror movie needs, and maybe I'll expand a little bit on games coverage as well. But thanks for tuning in, guys.